Earthlings, wisdom keepers, wisdom seekers, welcome back to your source for daily drops of wisdom, Savvy Cat Astrology. My name is Tanya, and today we are discussing on this episode of Wisdom Drops, yes, the moment you and I have been waiting for, the Taurus full moon eclipse. This is happening at 27 degrees, and baby, when I say is big, it is explosive. We are going to dive in deep today, and that brings me to the serious orders of business for y'all before we get going. Make sure to stay tuned for this. First things first, thank you so much to everybody who goes ahead and likes this video. I literally appreciate y'all so much, and you are part of why this community has been growing over the last year. So thank you for those very small but meaningful efforts. Number two, this full report is brought to you today by yours truly. Moving forward, full reports like this are going to be more so available on my Patreon. You can find that link down below, along with the third order of business. And did I mention these get juicier with each announcement? Which is astrology school is back. And this time it is a year-long professional development container in collaboration with my friend and business mentor, Trinetty. So by the end of this program, you will have spent 9 solid months studying intimately with me on a weekly basis in a live container, okay? I will walk you through this curriculum, coach you every step of the way, and ensure you have steps available to you to allow yourself to progress holistically with that kind of coaching that only a seasoned astrologer can provide you. This is available to apply to down below. Astrology school starts in January, so if it is your vibration, don't delay. This is a container for those of you serious about learning everything you need to be a functional astrologer and building out with that your business components. This is really exciting, y'all. I could talk forever about it, but we need to get to this Taurus moon. So thanks again for the support. And to those of you applying, I look forward to reviewing your applications. So now you shall see on your screen, friends, this Taurus lunation, okay? And when I say this is intense, why do I say that? You may have heard other astrologers speak to it, but let's just tune in a little bit, okay? And just list some things going on. This is something I'm always coaching astrologers to do, is just identify what's in front of you, right? First things first, what do you know? The moon is full, okay? Good. The second thing, the moon is conjunct by orb of degree, right? The North Node, otherwise known as Rahu in Vedic astrology, right? Moving right along. What else do we need to know, Tanya? Uranus is here. Holy guacamole. Now we're talking. Energy is already ripe because it's a full moon. Full moon is an awareness point. It's a culmination point. It's like if you've ever dipped candles, the candle starts really thin, right? That's kind of like a crescent moon. But as it keeps dipping, as you keep dipping in the wax, it grows and grows and grows. And the awareness of a candle, the actualization of a candle becomes manifested in front of you, right? It becomes so. And so this is the similar energy to what a full moon is. It's an awareness moment. It's photos on the wall, posters everywhere, red writing, what's happening moment. Okay, that's the sort of moment we're in, just from it being a full moon lunation. And then you add the fact that it's conjunct the North Node, otherwise known as an eclipse, right? Anytime there's a new or full moon on that nodal axis, it's an eclipse, okay? And then you add on top of that, okay, the fact that Uranus is co-present in the same sign. This is bonkers, but it doesn't stop there. Why? Because look, first things first, by degree, okay, the moon itself and the sun itself, that are the foundation of a full moon, are in hard aspect with Jupiter in what's referred to as a T-square. When I isolate over Jupiter, you can see 2 roughly equilateral lines to what is otherwise a big red triangle connecting these 3 planets, the moon, the sun, okay, and Jupiter. You can see that triangle, right? So this, friends, I talk about this in depth in astrology school. I even have more videos where I talk about this, figure, the shape in the chart. However, the main takeaway you need to know for right now is that that means that Jupiter is our way out of an otherwise tense situation. Now, at the same time that might be the case, Jupiter squares do tend to bring a certain excessivism to them, if that's even a word, it is now, or a certain sense of overindulgence, okay? Or maybe too much of something, right? Like if you've ever heard somebody say they're too much, it's like that sort of energy. However, it can be great for stimulating abundance, growing spirituality, putting your intention into more philosophical pursuits and frameworks of consciousness. Jupiter is expansion, so it is this sort of passion for life. It is this sort of joy. It's not a Mars-like passion in that it's not hungry per se, but Jupiter is abundant in its gratitude for information it's presented with. So if you are a scholar, if you are a student, if you are somebody who is a student of life, right, above all else, this is time for you to really go within, and specifically within the sign of Aquarius, as Jupiter is currently there. And Aquarius, friends, corresponds, yes, with deep, societal interconnectedness of all the people holding hands. And it's like, let the sunshine in kind of vibes for sure. However, Aquarius is also highly individualistic. And that is where I think this lunation, this eclipse, is really calling our attention. It's to a spiritualization, a philosophical liberation, if you will, Jupiter, around constructs related to societal freedoms and radical individualism that becomes a collective celebration and collective system, if you will, of freedom of choice, right? Sovereignty. Okay, so that's really what I think that is. You can check out my content. I've done much more content on the age of Aquarius. You can definitely check out my grand conjunction, the great conjunction videos that I've done on this very topic, right, for more information. But for the sake of this video, we're gonna move it right along. So with that said, this eclipse is intense in energy because we see the T-square, we see the full moon, we see the North Node. Uranus is here bringing surprising, shocking, electric jolts of awareness, downloads, epiphany kind of energy, right? Cosmic bursts of clarity and expression, this sort of unpredictable volatility of, feminine creative force really is in some ways what Uranus might be understood as. So in any case, as much as it's that, it could also be deeply severing and, painfully so. In the sign of Taurus, this could be grounded in terms of earthly elements. And we know, it not only could be, it has been, unfortunately, as the climatological, realities of our time are abysmal, to say the best. But I don't think that's actually the best. I think that it would be better stated to say we're in an incredible window of opportunity. And I think the more of us who choose to make small collective actions, the more, we as a larger society will begin to reclaim our power towards earth-based action. And when I say earth-based innovation and action, I do not refer to GMO systems. I do not refer to mechanically dependent contingent systems that are highly sort of intermixed and part of unremovable from more 5G type technologies and so forth. No. I'm referring to original OG earth tech. You know what I'm saying? That is Taurus. Okay, Taurus is original OG earth tech. Okay, now Uranus is, yes, advancement, and yes, absolutely, this sort of Franken-science or experimentalism, right? An unknowable and unforeseeable result, okay? A hypothesis, okay? You know what I'm saying? That is unpredictable at that. But, you put these two things together, and I think that there is a potential for the energy to be taken, of course, in what might be seen as a more technocratic evolutionary lens, just as much if not more potential available for at this time the people, the common people, the everyday people, the people of the earth, the salt of the earth people. Very Taurian, right? Very Taurian, very, okay? Those sorts of people, okay, us, you and me, the everyday people, there is an opportunity for a sort of genius connection to be bridged and born within the earth. And I think, I almost want to say I know, I think I will just say that I know that Uranus and Taurus is, you know, this sort of it's a longer phase, right? You have a planet like Uranus, it takes like 8 years to get through a sign, right? So if you think about it, this is a larger phase of our human chapter, okay, where we are experiencing an awareness, and a liberation, an insight, a portal to a reality that we didn't previously know was there. Okay, it was previously unbeknownst to us. It wasn't even like it was hidden. It was just like unmentally conceived or just, you know, thought, so to speak, until now, until this 8-year span that we find ourselves smack dab in the middle of. And all the astrologers out there right now are drawing your attention to the fact that yes, this Uranus is square Saturn, and yes, this is an ongoing conversation through the majority of this year, right? However, I think this piece has been a little lost in our narrative, and I think we would be doing ourselves justice to just remind ourselves of the context in which of the cycle we exist in. You know, Uranus is an 8-year journey, and we're roughly halfway through that at this time, as you see it around 12 degrees in retrograde, right? So this is a phase of an 8-year period where a lot has already hit the fan. What has happened in the last couple of years? You and I both know, okay? But this is a sort of awakening period. And remember, when it gets darker, if it gets darker, right? As it gets darker before the dawn. And as Uranus is only halfway through, if that, not even that, the larger Taurian cycle it finds itself in, it is not done with the awakening. And that to me is the most auspicious kind of information that we could just, you know, ground into in this eclipse moment. People will tell you, oh, this is so scary. And yeah, it is. Does this scream societal revamp? Hell yes, it does. I am so obviously agreeing with that as I sit here and interpret this chart, right? However, I'm also saying I think there's every reason to be optimistic, even if, or even when, even as we find less than desirable, highly, you know, painful, traumatic circumstances playing out in congruency with these other sort of like awareness awakening events. It's really, you know, interesting. And what we really get to with this energy is a master's energy of Scorpio. And everybody throws the attention to the moon during an eclipse. When it's a full moon or a new moon, it's all about the moon, right? Anytime you have a lunation, it has to involve the moon to be a lunation, right? Otherwise, it's just the sun. So when you have a full moon in Taurus, everybody's like 27 degrees Taurus, the Pleiades, the Pleiades. And it's like, yes, you should definitely go out there, learn from very good astrologers about the Pleiades, about Medusa's head, right? The fixed stars around this sort of degree, right? Please educate thyself, right? However, never forget of the opposite point engaging a full moon. In this case, 27 degrees of Scorpio. And yes, still conjunct Mercury. No, this is not an atypical condition. Mercury never moves more than one sign away from any given sun sign that the sun transits. However, you know, this adds additional depth to the mental condition, to the solutions available at this time. Mercury rules mental and solution-oriented energy. In the sign of Scorpio, Mercury is deeply definitive, deeply targeted, deeply specific, almost in a Virgoan sort of way. However, infused with all the emotion, all the passion, all the turmoil of a inner complicated sensitivity within, right? And so it adds this sort of emotional, intuitive, detective component to that specificity. And it also adds with Mars transiting here at the same darn time. It adds intensity to that mental, exploration and solutionism. And it, Mercury is very much so the foundational energy out which the concept of Uranus astrologically has grown. Okay, so Uranus, in other words, is the higher octave of Mercury in astrology, is how we think of it. And so this is echoing themes, something we talk about in my container in astrology school for those of you who are looking to become actual astrologers for yourself and build your own business, because this is something in truth and alignment with yourself, right? This is available to apply to right now. If you didn't hear my announcement at the beginning, down below is the link for that. We start in January. Okay. However, what I'll say is that for y'all, this is something I'm always reminding my people of, my students of, the people I mentor, right, around this stuff. You should always look at the opposite points, and you should always look for themes. So when you find themes in a chart like this Mercury theme, like this Uranus theme, because Uranus, as I just said, is in some ways an extension of Mercury, right? Pay attention, take note. Another thing to take note of at this time, friends, is that the sun is, yes, elevated by its ruling planet Mars being co-present, and yet the ruling planet of the sun, otherwise known as the dispositor, is in damn near perfect exact opposition with Uranus. Oh my goddess. And, if you were to count a 5-degree orb, you could say that constituted as part of this T-square conversation between Saturn and the moon and the sun. So, very, very interesting, very, very, revelatory energy right now. I think a lot of themes we're going to hear about and experience are likely involving tension, likely involving manifestation, a need to rebel and redefine. Saturn is at the crux here, okay, of a second T-square conversation, okay? And this is going to be really telling us that we need to redefine. We're called to redefine. And what does redefine mean? Everybody who is a youngster at some point or another is likely to experience, no matter who you are, an issue with authority, right? And the reason being likely because that authority, institution, figure, whatever, it worked against what felt like your better interests. Okay. Now that feeling, whether or not that feeling was justified, which I'm of the mind that more than likely it was, and it is, because authority can be and has been and unfortunately is highly misconstrued and appropriated across our planet, right? Through a variety of psychological challenges, issues that we're all working through, healing, et cetera, et cetera. Back to the point being that if we are going to focus in on this ability of ourselves to heal, this ability of ourselves to move beyond an authority wound, okay, and to re-own it for ourselves, to adult ourselves, we are the aliens we've been waiting for, Earthlings. You feel like they might make themselves known, but at the end of the day, if we don't claim agency, we don't claim agency, nothing happens that's actually in our best interest. Because why are we waiting for somebody else to save us? And at the same time, I question those of you who might fall into a more technocratic saving grace kind of mentality when I ask such question, right? I ask you, why is it that you feel technology that is so fragile, it could go out in a single solar pulse, be the solution? Why do you think that's the solution and not the evolutionary solution that's been present for millions of years, withstanding an unknown, unmeasurable amount of threats to its very foundation and survived each step of the way? Why do you not defer to that technology with which this earth has born, right? Like, that's my passionate feeling about that. And it's really, it's apropos bringing us back to the physical astrology in front of us, because Venus, as the dispositor of the moon itself, finally we're talking about the dispositor of the moon itself, is in Capricorn. It's in Capricorn, okay? And this is the classics. It is the classics. It is the old. It is the tried. It is the true. It is the test of time, okay? And the test of time is, let's see, an inescapable one, right? And so it is this sort of classically binding, classically limiting, classically resoundingly understood as a sort of boundary, a sort of limitation, right? So you put Venus in this sign of the classics, of this sort of recognition that there is a threshold that, you know, can't be crossed, or that is meant to exist for whatever reason in the story of biological life as we know it, right? When you put Venus in that energy, Venus gives you the femininity reflection of that energy. And that femininity is not sweet or full of sugar as Persephone. Rather, it's more of a bitter pill. It's more of an elderberry syrup without as much of the sugar or the honey, right? It's more of, you know, turmeric kind of medicine, so to speak. It's a bitter, detoxifying sort of energy at its best, okay? And or at its best, it's a sort of appreciation and affinity for the classic older sort of ways about going about something, okay? So I guess what I'm trying to say with this is look and observe the chart. Venus is the dispositor of Taurus, and Venus is at the same time engaged in only harmonious astrological conversations. She herself is a great force of reprieve against this Uranian harsh energy experienced elsewhere. Look at all those red lines, my goodness, right? She is the saving grace. She is, along with Jupiter, our other benefic, as previously discussed, as part of this T-square configuration, okay? Venus is alongside that Jupiter energy, supportive. She's healing. She's nurturing. She's classically celebratory of these ancient, proven sort of ways. And at the same time that Jupiter, our philosophical anchor, is calling us to advance into the age of Aquarius, into the energy of 2.0ing something, right? Or evolving something. At the same time, our philosophical mind is called to evolve in that way. We are being called to evolve through remembering and almost a sort of regression into earthly realities that are inherently Capricornian. Capricorn is the goat, but Capricorn is also the mountain. When y'all think of a mountain, think of how many colloquial referrals you have in any given, you know, week to a mountain. You climbed that mountain, or you literally went on a hike in the mountains, or you need to go to the mountains to clear your mind, or I saw it as if I was at the top of a mountain. Reflect over words and phrases and colloquialisms associated with archetypes that are inherently part of the celestial network in front of you, right? This chart is omnipresent through all time and space. It's only a matter of relative proximity and degree-based relationship that changes the expression of these different celestial portals and how we might decipher them. With that said, those of you ready to take your personal astrology up to the next level, it is my distinct honor. In case it's not completely clear, I absolutely love astrology. And what I perhaps love even more is helping people understand it for themselves, because that is where I feel the true potency is, not only in inspiring readings where I hear back feedback from people saying, you know, this was so meaningful to me, and it was part of my life story that helped me kind of redirect or get in a more resonant vibration. Those sorts of stories mean so much to me as an astrologer. And what means even more is facilitating those sorts of experiences for people like you who are serious about using this craft for the forces of good, okay, for the forces of light, so to speak. I want to help support, you know, the creation of astrologers out there who are competent, confident, and part of the age of Aquarius, here to help the planet heal, here to help people reflect, introspect, and make advancements relatively quickly. Because let's be real, this age, this dawning of the age of Aquarius, it's quick, and we need to keep up. And to keep up, we need to know ourselves. Know thyself, as Thoth said. With that said, thank you so much to all of you who liked this video. And yes, you can apply to astrology school down below. Thank you for sharing with a friend, etc., etc. Stay groovy and do not let the boat rock you energetically too much this eclipse, friends. If you're here till the end, put me a flame fire sign down below, because y'all are just that damn hot. So with that said, until next time, may the stars be with you. Peace.